Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas and welcome to Insight with Ashok Vyas. Today's show is very special for me because I have a friend who happens to be someone who served with Reserve Bank, has been a banker for many years. But more important, he is known now through his program, one which he did with ITV Gold. In addition to being frequent guest for this particular show, he had a very popular, frankly speaking, with Vibhuti Ja, and then he has his Jaipur dialogues. But what brings him here, which I am excited about, is his decision to contest for New York State Assembly from District 16. And how important it is for Indian Americans to be a part of American politics. We'll learn from him. So here is Insight with Vibhuti Ja today. Vibhuti ji, welcome. Namaste.
Thank you, Ashok ji. It is a pleasure to be back in your studio with you. Thank you very much for having me.
The joy is something that we seek when we leave our homeland. And once we are here, many of us are busy trying to make both ends meet. And then there comes a time when you meaning not just you in person, but Indian American community have suitably settled with their needs taken care of. And then you start realizing the environment that we have started living in, it requires our attention on various fronts. And one of them happens to be our active participation in political arena. Talk to me about, you have been here for a few decades now. How do you feel Indian Americans have had their approach towards becoming active participant in the mainstream politics?
Ashokji, that's a $1 million question. One of the things which remains is that you are absolutely right. The first generation Indians and most of the Indians who have come here, professionals, working hard to make a success of their life. And why not? That's what they came here for, to make their economic life more secure, more successful, and to be counted and be known about it. However, once you have reached certain stage of progression in your life, it's equally important to participate in the life cycle of that environment that you have chosen to live in, whether it's Arizona, California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, wherever it is. We need to get involved in the localities or the communities that we live in. Whether it's Parents Teachers Association or it is an assemblyman or a congressman, we need to get involved. Because if we don't get engaged, then we are left behind. That's a very important part. So my trigger for taking this step to be in politics is that having done so much in my life already, I thought this would be a good one because politics is considered to be a dirty business. People always say politics is dirty. But remember, sanitation department people have to clean your house too. Otherwise, the house will remain dirty. So which means that somebody has got to do the job.
Okay, let me interrupt partly and express my disagreement. When we say politics is dirty, when someone like you is getting ready to contest for New York State Assembly, then I would think there are others also like you who have good intentions and they have been successful and they are holding positions. So it is a cliche to say politics is dirty for multiple reasons. But let me bring it back to our identity as Indian Americans and one, you are trying to settle in a different cultural setup. That itself is a pressure initially. But overall, as Indian American identity, if we do not participate in politics, if we do not let the world, America, know who we are, that, do you think, takes away something from us? So what is it that you think adds value by being an active player in politics?
You see, when I said that politics is reckoned to be a dirty business, is the outside perception of it. Because politicians make a lot of compromises. They have to say something, do something, and it's a tough business. Let's put it that way. It's a very tough business. Very few can do it. And you need different set of skills to be able to relate with the environment, opportunity, commitment, and getting things done. Because you are looking at the aspirations of, in my constituency for that matter, is 170,000 voters. So there is 170,000 voters, nobody knows how many will turn up to vote. So identity jahan tak hai, it's very important that you carry your identity in the game that you play. So what is the identity of an Indian today in America? That's something which every NRI must bear in mind. And our identity is that we are hardworking, we are professionals, we have done well, we are in the highest median income, we have family values, we take care of our children. We are not a law and order problem anywhere in the world as an immigrant community, right? We contribute to the society so much, yet we are not involved. So instead of being taken for granted, your success story needs to be told to others. If you don't tell your story, then somebody will write your story. And then we will be either defending or apologizing for it, as it is happening currently in India, that we are being attacked in many different ways, which is a very sad reflection on our success. So to make ourselves visible, heard, seen, felt, and to somebody to identify with us that yes, these guys are good guys, these people are working hard for the community, we need to take part in it.
Vibhuti, I'm tempted to ask you, we hear many people say that once you are outside India, you are ambassadors of India. And in a way, we all have become our cultural ambassadors. And then we have some Indian American guy holding important political position, having been elected for this or that position. You kind of assume that they will speak for India when there is a need for them to add their voice. But often we have seen, and I'm not talking right now about Democrats or Republicans as such, but there are some representatives who come from Indian American background, but they don't speak on various fronts in a voice which would make you feel proud. Now, is that their conscious decision? Is that a political pressure? So, anything that you would like to say about it?
That's a very interesting question, because yes, we have 4 or 5 Indian Americans who are in the US Congress, and there are several in the state legislatures. What happens is that you have to remember one thing. Politics, as a very famous satirist once said, P.J. O'Rourke, he's no more, he just passed away recently. He said, I was in that conference actually, when he said, United States will have a very tough time putting together a comprehensive immigration reform or a comprehensive foreign policy, because everybody is a foreigner in this country. So what a wonderful statement to make. So will you, if you are in a position of authority, will you do anything which will be against your Janmabhoomi, or the place of your birth? And now you are in your Karma Bhumi, or as one of my friends recently said, it's our Punya Bhumi now. So the question is very simple, that what is important here? This country has the opportunity to show to the whole world what diversity means and what inclusiveness means. That's what is important to know, that everybody can prosper here. Whether you came from any country of the world, you can prosper. There is no discrimination. But unfortunately, what is happening today, that we are seeing a lot of discriminatory and divisive things are getting into play in the name of democracy and freedom and fundamental rights.
Forgive me for bringing this reference, and then we'll come to what brings you to your candidacy. What we generally observe is many of us, when I say many of us, meaning Indian Americans who are affluent, they do work with political leaders in raising funds, in hosting them at their home, and what comes out of it is some selfies, some pictures, or they boast that I know him well. But in terms of our collective concerns as Indian Americans, probably we still are grappling in a right sort of a script that would articulate what we want out of them by supporting them. It is just being in their familiar circle of people enough. So from your point of view, and of course I must add that while we are talking about American politics, you're concerned about what is happening here, but still there are some concerns which are specific to different groups from that point of view.
Yes, it's a very wonderful, loaded question, and I want to thank you for asking that, because what is important here, Ashokji, is to be able to make an impact. So just now you said people, Indians, take a photo op, they contribute to campaigns, and it's the end of story, right? Politics or anything requires money. Whether if you want to do a charitable work, for that you need money. You want to build a temple, you need money. You want to build a mosque, you want to build a church, everything you need money to do things. Same is with politics. Now Indians are well-to-do. So the American politicians come to you for funding because election is expensive. It runs for a while. So as a result of which, we are the wealthier community, relatively speaking, so people come to us to raise money. What are we getting in return? If you consider that as a donation, it's a different matter. But if it is an investment, if it is something that needs to be taken care of, you are not writing a check for the heck of it, then you must demand, hey, don't do something that hurts my interest. That's a fundamental requirement of the relationship or equation that you want to establish with any politician for that matter. We haven't done that. Unfortunately, as much as we are liked in this country as an immigrant community, we have unfortunately not much of a clout. The word clout is important. We Indians do not command a clout as many other communities do for their way of doing things. I'm not sitting on judgment on anybody's ways or means of doing something. Talking about myself, talking about ourselves, talking about Indians here, we do not command a clout. So, because we are a quiet, happy baby.
Vibhuti, I want you to address this, and maybe this is a perception or the way I read it. Are we meek as Indian American community? When I say meek, being humble sometimes leads us to the position where we are shy of saying what is right if it is in our favor, and we just take things without raising our voice, which is the essential tool in a democracy. So if I rephrase what I want you to address is, do you see we lack courage to speak for ourselves?
Your question has a very simple answer, and that answer was given by my Pakistani friend many years ago. He said, "Jha Sahab, आप हिंदू लोग बड़े शरीफ इंसान हो और आप शांति के लिए कुछ भी करेंगे." So when you are trying to work for peace, that becomes the ultimate objective, peaceful coexistence, then you try everything in your arsenal to not disturb the balance. Even though the other person is hell-bent on trying to destroy you, you always try to find a way where you are peaceful, which consequently, and that's a very important point you brought in, leads to perception of weakness. That's the reason why many a times Indian politicians have said in the past, don't take our silence as weakness. It's true, but silence will be taken as weakness if you do not respond at some point in time. There are two things, reaction and response. Reaction is something happens, a bulb falls here and we all bhachakke ho jate hain, we get startled. And then if you know something is going to happen, you manage your response. That is a studied response to the problem. So when you know that those who are against you are doing something, if you do not respond, then it does become weakness. And the other part is also that we are very self-satisfied. We are a very, संस्कृत का अच्छा शब्द है, उसको अंग्रेजी में ट्रांसलेट नहीं कर सकते हैं. हम बहुत जल्दी संतुष्ट हो जाते हैं. और संतुष्ट होने के कारण क्या होता है कि we most of the time we say, चलो अपने को क्या है? What is there in it for me? Let's not worry about it. It's not my job. It's Ashok's job. It is XY's job. It is Sudhir's job. It is Vibhuti's job. It's not my job. That is one thing that hurts us a lot. And like wonderful, somebody said the other day, a couple of hours ago, you cannot let your mother nation be insulted, regardless of your internal differences. And we have to be united. So, unity is a big word, Ashokji. I have said this many a times, that unity is not a suit, shirt, pajama, kurta, sari, salwar, ko pehen liya aur unity ho gayi. Unity is always driven by a cause, by a purpose.
So talking about unity, and I'll just bring one reference, and then I will ask you to tell us what made you decide to become a candidate for New York Assembly District 16. The question is, I've observed it, and you must have also seen, this comes from your reference of unity. So there is one seat for council member, and out of 6 candidates, you have 4 candidates who are of Indian origin. So how do you see that is likely to play
That's
out?
very simple. That's very simple. One thing is, one thing is happening, like in India also. Regardless of party affiliations, people in India have become conscious and aware. The guy who does my job, I'll vote for him. Even in the United States, you have 2-party system, Democrats and Republicans. People, 40% on both sides are committed voters, and then there are 20% who sit in the middle. They look at the candidate, they look at the policies, what you espouse and what you champion.
So now let me look at candidate Vibhuti Jha. And Vibhuti ji, I'm very impressed by one promise or the issue that you have highlighted relates to cashless bail. And I think this is kind of a mockery of this legal system when you have this cashless bail in place. If I understand the way it operates, it gives leverage to someone because of so this is undue advantage. But talk to me, what is the philosophy behind your reference of cashless bail?
The thing is something like everything that we do, we have to be responsible and accountable for. All right. So if I'm here today, I can't blame you for me having me here. It's my decision that I came here. Likewise, the cashless bail system that was brought about by Democrats all over the country was driven by a very interesting agenda, that the poor people who get caught, they are incarcerated for a while. Rich people pay their bail and get out. So why not assimilate them? Because don't hurt the sinner, don't blame the sinner, blame the sin. But the philosophy is only as good as it is implemented. The cashless bail system, think about it like this. It is Republicans who are opposing it, and I am opposing it because it led to defunding of police. You letting people rob up to $900 of stuff and they are out in the bail. There are people who they have dossiers on them, 50 cases on them of violation, misdemeanors and everything else, yet they keep letting go. The result has happened is the police force is remarkably disheartened. Why should I catch him? Because he will be let go. So that is that. Even the guy who attacked Salman Rushdie, he was about to, not Salman Rushdie, the guy who attacked New York State governor candidate Lee Zeldin, he was let go immediately. He was only caught, apprehended again for the simple reason that Mr. Lee Zeldin is a congressman. So it became a federal offense. That is the impact people are not realizing. Whether you are a Democrat or Republican, remember, law and order is required because that is what inspires people to follow. A system is there that even at 2 o'clock in the morning or 12 at midnight, you and I stop at the red light or a stop sign, even though anybody is watching or not, doesn't matter. That's the faith in the system. The cashless, even New York City mayor has asked Governor Hochul to have a discussion and repeal this because New York City is in a mess.
So this law and order problem is growing, I should not say by leaps and bounds, but you see more cases happening. The place where we have our studio right now in Edison, here also in a store, jewelry store, you might have seen that video somewhere. So these 6 guys jumped and these things are happening more. People find that their car glasses are broken, etc. know how it relates to the way our law and order machinery functions, and you are also talking about refunding rather than defunding police. So talk to me, where is the difference in looking, and allow me to say that I would like to see Democrats as well as Republicans are working with good intentions, but they are looking at the problem and the solution differently. And this is so poles apart, so it is baffling.
It is poles apart. And you are, as you rightly said, there are good Democrats, there are good Republicans, they all have good intent to help the communities and the country. But eventually what happens is that people are looking at their gains. And in my impression of things, what I have found is the Democratic Party is working towards a vote bank. And I have tried to understand it, and I'm willing to debate with any Democrat for that matter. They have very few policies, they have agendas. And there's a marked distinction between the two. So you are looking at a vote bank politics of it all. And as a result of which, you have already ready people who will vote for you because you are soft on crime. Defunding the police, it is such a ridiculous idea. And I want to say this very clearly. Defunding of the police will not lead to reduction in crime. It's like saying that shut down the hospitals and defund the doctors, there will be no illnesses and no diseases. It is like saying that you shut down the media and there will be no news. But that's not the issue. The issue is that how are we attending to the issue which is germane to the problem? Why are people committing crimes? If you don't address that, it doesn't matter. Everything is cosmetic then. And that's where I say, I don't want, my constituency is Long Island. I don't want the prosperous, beautiful Long Island community, or anywhere in New Jersey for that matter, wherever we are living peacefully, to become lawless or drug infested like Los Angeles, San Francisco, unfortunate Chicago. Look at the killings that are happening there. And I don't want our community to even look like New York City for that matter. The lawlessness that goes on here, or homelessness that has gone in there. That's the objective, that you don't defund, put the money back there. And there are, if the authorities are unhappy, there are bad cops killing black guys and bad cops doing bad things. Every profession has its bad elements.
And there should be counter checks and balances. Right. If needed, increase them.
Increase.
Which I think they did, and they are in the process of doing every time they think in a way which would prevent such unfortunate things from happening. So one issue that brings you to the race relates to providing better law and order system. Another thing which concerns everyone relates to their pocket. And you have also touched, and you were talking about making property tax rebate payment. Talk to me, what is the thought process behind this?
I mean, the property tax rebate in Long Island, for that matter, is a high tax area. Whole New York is a high tax area. So, when you provide services to people, public has to pay taxes for them. Whether you need good roads, good civil structures, good civil systems, you need money. So the issue here is very important. That issue is that in a community like America, in a country like America, where 90% of the businesses are in private sector, large and beginning from large to mom and pop shops, government has to have a job. Road building, bridges and communications, so many things the government does. But one thing one doesn't know, there's a very interesting banking terminology that goes about. United States is one country that has unfettered ability to print notes. If the debt to GDP ratio, if you and I had that debt to GDP ratio, debt to income ratio, nobody will give us even a penny. But because the United States has the ability to print notes, we have infinite ability to print notes for anything that we wanted to do. Today, our debt servicing is critical. We are really, really stretched out. And the current level of government needs to worry about where the tax dollars are going. So let's look at this example. Post-Ukraine, suddenly the gas prices went up to $5.55 in New York, $7 in California. Now it has come down to 4, 5, or whatever it has come down. Mr. Biden is claiming credit, we brought the gas prices down. But no, gas prices went up from $2.50 to $5.50. Now it has come to 405. It's like putting a bandage on a real bleeding disease or illness. That's unfair to the people because everything doubled up for causes that you and I were not responsible for. So that accountability needs to come because the United States has a unique ability to print notes. No other country can do that in the manner for global acceptance. And that issue, as a banker and a finance professional, I always believe that when you want to do something for free, somebody is paying for it.
Yeah, because I'm afraid we just have a few minutes and I want you to share your inner gut. You have been active on social front. You have been a very important voice for Indian American community. But politics is probably something, it's like a new experience for you. So far, based on your interaction with your potential voters, being candidate for New York State Assembly from District 16, how do you feel?
You are very correct, very good question, because when you enter something new, it is always a lot of uncertainties are there. So I may have been successful in my past life, doesn't guarantee my current adventure will be successful. But I'm hopeful. I'm gaining more and more confidence as I see the game unravel, the game opening up. So yes, I am a slow starter, and it took me time to absorb things, to watch things and absorb and learn from them. And now as the days are going forward, I'm beginning to feel good. And I have met a lot of people, and I'm getting very positive feedback.
Yeah. Because I'm feeling very good that you are here, and it is like home. All of you are part of our extended family, and Vibhuti ji, our family member, now contesting for this position. So I asked him in a very informal manner, in 30 seconds, if you are to connect with one of your potential voter, and as we use the term, unique selling proposition. So why should someone vote for you? What would you say?
The reason why you must vote for me is that I'm different. I bring with me an experience that very few people can relate to. And that experience is about problem solving. In my work life, all the time, if you took out my saransh, I am problem solver. And if you want to solve a problem, there is a solution. You have to commit to doing that. And I have committed to do that I will solve the problems.
Wonderful. So he understands problems and he's there to work wholeheartedly for solving problems, and we wish him lots of good luck as well as support, Vibhuti, for succeeding in the race. And next time we get to meet assemblymen from District 16, hopefully soon. The election, by the way, is on November 8th.
Yes.
So,
and I want to appeal to all the voters in District 16. Your support means a lot, and it will mean nothing if you don't go and vote. So exercise your franchise and vote.
So that's for Long Island, and this is Vibhuti Jha joining us today.
Thank you.
Lots of good wishes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers, and look forward to a successful venture.
Thanking him and thanking all of you with lots of good wishes. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.